Every time you look around, there's a new AI tool or program popping up. Is it ChatGPT 3 or is it 4? It's hard to tell sometimes, but there's one thing that's for certain. It will replace jobs one way or another. This new wave of technology, it's coming primarily for the white-collared workers. All the paper pushers, the spreadsheet wizards, a lot of those type of jobs, they can be automated. Even this video that I'm doing right now, this could be automated. You could easily use a voice generator, an AI voice generator, slap some B-roll behind me, and I don't even need to be here. In fact, there are a lot of YouTube channels that have proven to be extremely successful with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and there's no face, and there's no actual voice. It's computer generated. Now, if you're in the trades, if you have a screwdriver or a wrench in your hand, the chances are that you're pretty safe for right now, right? Automation will still come for you, but in the short term, you're probably going to be okay. There was a big report that was released recently called the Future Jobs Report, and this was put together by the folks at the World Economic Forum. The report stated that a quarter of all jobs that exist right now will change around the world in the next 5 years. The good news is that 69 million new jobs will be created, but 83 million jobs will be destroyed. So who will be losing their jobs in the upcoming years? You probably already know. Did you see that story with the McDonald's that has not a single employee? 100% automated McDonald's. So when you walk in there, you cannot look at a person's face. You cannot order your cheeseburger with a smile. That doesn't exist anymore for that particular store. And as you know, there were some clear signs that this was in the works. This was happening. Just a few years ago, I walked into a McDonald's and all the cash registers, they're replaced. You have these big touch screens that you have to walk up to and order your little Happy Meal from because you can't talk to a person anymore. I tried to circumvent it. I tried to go straight to the counter because I saw people behind the counter. I said, I'm gonna talk to those people. I'm gonna order my Happy Meal or my cheeseburger by talking to this individual. But as soon as I went to the counter, they redirected me. They actually came over and they were trying to train me on the machine. They asked me, do you know how to use the machine? Obviously, I know how to use it. It's a touch machine, but I wanted to go and actually interact with a human being. And when I first saw those machines, I thought that the business owner obviously is increasing his profit margin, right? He doesn't have to pay the salaries to the employees that would normally be working the cash register. So there's a profit margin that's being increased. What's happening with that? Is that benefit being passed down to the customers? Are we benefiting from it? Are we getting cheaper cheeseburgers or hamburgers? I don't think so. So where exactly is that money going to? Is it just going straight to the store owner? Bottom line for me is I was left with a cold experience. I have to interact with this machine instead of talking to a human being. Now, on the flip side, I know a lot of people, they are introverted. They want nothing to do with another person, especially if that person is a stranger. So they prefer actually just dealing with the machine. All right, so what jobs are getting the axe? The main jobs that are leaving because of AI will be bank tellers, cashiers, data entry clerks, secretaries, food workers, and accountants. Pretty much anything that's administrative in nature. If you're dealing with paperwork, if you're dealing with the computer, a lot of those jobs are going to be going away. So what does that mean for you? If you work in one of these type of jobs, you're going to need new skills. What are the skills that you're going to need to learn? Everything in this new future economy is going to be based off of one or two things. The first thing is green, right? Good for the environment. Think about solar panels, solar energy, wind, batteries, things like that. The second thing is artificial intelligence, computer, big cloud computing, data, things like that. So what industries are actually going to experience growth? Well, according to this report, the first industry that will receive growth is education by 10% over the next 5 years by increasing the amount of teachers, vocational instructors, and university staff. I don't agree with this one. I think education is a sector that's primed for disruption. There's so much talk about debt, right? People are carrying tens or hundreds of $1,000s in debt from going to a university. More and more people have degrees now in the United States than ever. We have so many degrees out here. And what does that signal? It doesn't really signal anything, right? The value of a degree has been somewhat diluted unless you're going for highly specialized career paths like a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. Outside of that, if you're doing the humanities, there's nothing wrong with the humanities, but if you're doing history, if you're majoring in English, a lot of those degrees, they're not signaling the value that they used to 40, 50, 60 years ago. They're just not doing that. A lot of companies, big and small, also the government, they're shying away from degrees. They're not putting it on their job postings as much. You're not going to see it as much. They're emphasizing more on the skills and the experience. And when I was going through school, a lot of people said that first job that you get, that's when your degree matters. But after that, nobody really cares, right? Unless you go to one of the Ivy League schools, you go to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, things like that, people might care. You might have a really strong network. Outside of that, people care, what can you do? What is your experience? What kind of skills do you have? What kind of value can you bring to the organization? That's what they care about. The alternative of going through a structured university program is being self-taught, taking online courses, looking at YouTube videos, trial and error. So many people have taught themselves how to program, how to do video editing. The information is out there. You just have to have the desire, the ambition, right? To go out there and look for that information, start practicing on your own, and develop your own skills. Listen, I have attended university for multiple years. I have also taught at a university. And from my experience, AI can replace the majority of it. There's usually not a lot of magic that's taking place in the classroom. For one thing, you have one professor and you have 20, 30 or more students that all that time is being divided. So it becomes difficult to get that one-on-one attention, that mentorship, that grooming is really difficult to achieve. One note about the report, when it mentions education growing, this is a global report, so you have to consider they're talking about other countries outside of the United States and the United Kingdom. And with these countries, I can kind of understand maybe they're getting access to more educational opportunities. But for them, for people, let's say people in the rural areas, people away from the bigger cities, for me, that seems like that's a great opportunity to use, your local Wi-Fi connection. And Wi-Fi is becoming more prevalent. Use the Wi-Fi, get access to online courses. Here's one thing, LinkedIn Learning, right? LinkedIn Learning, 30 days free. You can go out there, bang out 2 or 3 different courses, print out the certificates, and start practicing the skills that you learn and become more knowledgeable, and you can leverage that to get yourself a decent job. When you're doing this online, you have access to some of the best and brightest teachers. You are not limited to the university that might be off into like a rural area, and you have to, whatever's there, you have to deal with, right? When you pursue training and instruction online, a lot of times that opens you up to the best and brightest in that field. You do not have to settle with whatever teacher might be in your local area. The next industry that's poised for growth is agriculture. And for me, this was kind of a head scratcher. I understand that if you look at the world population, it is estimated to increase, meaning that we need more food. Also, supply chains are shortening. So when it comes to the technology that's involved in the agriculture sector, that is poised for growth. And like I mentioned, this report, it was global. It's a global report, but let's focus on the United States. What are the 3 types of jobs that will be created in the United States? 1 is big data analytics. 2 is encryption and cybersecurity. And 3 is digital platforms and applications. It is estimated that 6 out of 10 of the workers currently in the workforce, they will need new skills. They will need to be retrained. So what are companies and organizations doing about this now? Check this out. Number 1 says invest in learning and on-the-job training. Now, we both know that when you're applying to a job and they have that laundry list of skills that they want, if you don't have certain things, they won't even interview you. They won't even consider you. But now we're talking about companies willing to do on-the-job training. Will that happen? Will they have the resources to spend the time developing their own people? We're going to have to see. The next one, accelerate the automation of processes. This one could have just said increase layoffs, because what are we talking about here? Increase automation. When you're doing that within an organization, you're increasing automation, you're removing duties that are required to be done by actual staff. So the economy is pretty tough right now, and you know that labor costs make up the majority of a business's costs. So do you not think that they're going to look for an opportunity to reduce some of their staffing in order to increase profits? Now check out the last 2. Outsource work and expand contract work. That doesn't look good for full-time employees. When you're talking about supplementing your workforce with contractors, You're talking about not really giving them the same benefits as you would a full-time employee. So this all looks like your job will either be outsourced or it will be terminated. Not very encouraging news from this report. One thing I do not want you to take away from this report is that you have to go and get more college debt. Do not go run off and enroll in a master's program. Do not do that. Look at the online options, start focusing on some of the IT skills, and slowly build up your proficiency with those type of skills. Overall, this report is 300 pages. So if you want to take a deep dive and look at what else this report has to say, I'll leave a link down below next to the like button. Okay, so maybe after hearing all of this, you're a little concerned for your job. Do you have job security? Do you have job stability? If that concerns you, you might be interested in a government job. If you would like to know more about how to get a federal government job, I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.